Chris, and morning everyone. Happy new season. Look, really excited about the season to come. Want to say a big thank you first to the fantastic turnout we had yesterday for our first session of pre-season. It was really great to see the number of media in attendance, and we really do value your support, and so thank you for that. One thing I wanted to talk about, we were hoping to do it before in the early part of pre-season, but because we've got obviously the COVID issue still lingering, we're going to do it a little bit later on in pre-season, hopefully. But I want to give you guys warning, we want to have a staff game, so we want to have a Lancashire United staff versus the media 11. So Doug, Felipe, the rest of the gang, get your training gear ready, and we'd love to have a match here. So I hope that's something we can do during this pre-season. So we're looking forward to that. Obviously, we're coming off a bit of a roller coaster season from last year. Obviously, lots of highs and lows, but we finished in great form. As you guys know, Gonzalo Pineda came in as our coach. Since we announced him, we accumulated the most points in MLS. So we feel really good about the second half of that season. We've looked to keep our core group together, both with our roster, also with our coaching staff. And now we're going to have a chance to get a real full pre-season under our belt. So we're really looking forward to that, this season that's coming up. And of course, it's carried on into our supporters. And I can't say enough about our fantastic number 17s. We had over a 91% renewal rate for season tickets for this season. I'm really proud of that, considering what everyone's gone through over the last couple of years with COVID. The other thing is that's incredible, and I look back to last year, we were top 10 in the world in terms of attendance, over 44,000 fans per game, by far and away the best in Major League Soccer. That was really incredible to see. And then one thing that I was really proud of when I look back to last year was the MLS Players Union did an anonymous survey of its players, and we were voted #1 stadium environment to play in, but also the #1 club that players would want to play for. And for me, that speaks volumes to our supporters and what we're trying to create here at Lancashire United. And I thought that was really special when that was announced. So lastly, in terms of excitement for pre-season, I had a couple of things I just wanted to mention before we go to questions. Firstly, I'm excited that we've got in Gonzalo Pineda, as a coach that wants to get out in the community. Last season, we had the supporters invited to a training session. It was wonderful. This year, we want to continue our tradition of going out into the state of Georgia. And so we're going to play a game at the University of Georgia at their Turner Soccer Complex. We'll have that finalized with ticket information by the end of the week. But great for us. Obviously, it was fantastic to see the Georgia Bulldogs win the college football national championship. So it's good to have another winner in the state over the last 5 years. And we're excited about playing there and just having a chance to meet our supporters where they are. Second thing is we will do an in-person kit launch. So that's something that's really been important to the club as we built the club. It's part of our sort of tentpole events where we have that connection with our supporters. And again, when I look back to last year, we were one of very few clubs that did something in person. When we released our black kit, it was fantastic. We did the drive-in at the stadium. We're going to do an in-person event this year, and there'll be more details to come on that. So look, we're 5.5 weeks. It's not long to go now from our first game against Sporting Kansas City. The lower bowl's already sold out. We've had over 20 matches and more than 67,000 fans, and expect we'll get there again for next month. So really excited for the season ahead and happy to take questions.
Thanks, Darren. We'll start it here with Doug. Go ahead. Your line is open. Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you, Chris. I love what you've done with the place. Darren, thanks for doing this. Is there a loan or transfer in the works for Ezequiel Barco? And if so, how would you describe his time with the club? And do you consider the original transfer a success looking back on it?
Yeah, I'm not, Doug, as you know, I don't want to get into specific transfer rumors. As Ezequiel's not here for training at the moment. So again, I think, the right time to speculate on that is if something happens. But, what I will say is, Ezequiel's been a fantastic professional. I think we signed him at a very young age. We won the MLS Cup in his first season, 2 trophies the next 2 seasons. And I thought last season he was one of our key performers. Obviously scored some fantastic goals and did really well for Argentina when he was playing for them on the Olympics. So, he's a great player. He's a special player, but at the moment, he's still an Lancashire United player.
Next question over to Felipe. Felipe, go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Happy New Year, Darren. Just so
Hey,
you know, hey, how are you? Just so you know, I've already started to recruit some designated players for the media team.
Where are you going to play?
I'll be in the middle.
Defensive,
I'll be
mid.
in the middle or in the back. We'll see. Wherever I can get the most touches. So yeah, looking forward to that. I did want to ask you, Darren, not so much of a rumor, but if the Thiago Almada signing does go through, I'm interested to know how you, as a club president, how the organization approach the due diligence process, and is his signing contingent on his current court case in Argentina?
Yeah, thanks, Felipe. Well, firstly, as you know, we went public. We have an option on Thiago Almada, so that's all that we currently have. And without talking specifics, I'll talk generally on our due diligence. I think any player we sign, we do due diligence on that player. It'll vary depending on the type of player, the profile, etc. Where we're fortunate is that we are part of an organization that has an NFL team. So with the Atlanta Falcons, it's something that obviously they do on a regular occasion, right? For any draft signing or any player that they're looking at in free agency. So we're able to have the resources and use the best practices there. So for us, and again, this is something I'm happy to take if something does happen and a player becomes an Atlanta United player, to go through in more detail with you. But we do the due diligence on all our players, and we do have the learnings that we take from the Falcons.
Next question over to Zach Klein. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, we have exercised the international media rule and traded for Joseph Martinez, and we sent Doug to the curb and got Carlos. Just want to let you know about those transactions. And two, do you think it's just in taking that next step in terms of building on last year, is something missing, or do you think just Gonzalo being there from the jump will make that much difference in terms of what you guys need to do to get beyond your first round position you were a year ago?
Yeah, look, I mean, firstly, and I mentioned it, Zach, before, since Gonzalo was announced and took over, we had the most points. We're tied with Colorado and New England. So I feel pretty good about the level that we got already from Gonzalo coming in. But of course, we've got a chance now with Gonzalo in preseason. I think, Gonzalo last season, it was much more a case of trying to, use the motivation, trying to get quick wins where he could. He's now got the ability to take some time and work with the team in terms of his tactics. For us, we'd like to be in Champions League. Obviously, that's why we want to be every year. But we actually have a season now where we're not sort of starting early in Champions League, playing in Honduras or Costa Rica. So I think that's going to help as well in terms of his ability to put his stamp on the team from a tactical perspective. I mean, look, from a motivation, I think we saw it instantly. The job that he and Rob did together as he came in, I think was fantastic. I sort of witnessed that this week. We had a staff game. Obviously, we're getting ready and training for the big media match. But we had a staff game, and Gonzalo's on my team, and I thought I was doing quite well in my very false number 9 position, but I lost the ball when he passed it me, and I don't know exactly what he said because it was in Spanish, but I could tell by the tone it wasn't complimentary to his president, and that's what he's like. He expects it from everybody in the squad, and I think you saw the players respond to that, and I think we couldn't be more excited about the season ahead and having a full season with Gonzalo at the helm.
Just a reminder, you need to hit the raise hand icon in order to ask a question. We're going to go to Danelle Suggs, Atlanta Business Chronicle. Go ahead, Danelle.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Hi, Danelle. Nice to meet you. Congrats on the gig.
I wanted to ask you about the 91% renewal rate for season tickets. Was that something you were expecting? You were looking forward to that?
No, I mean, look, it's funny. We sometimes take it for granted. I think, in terms of the crowds that we get at Atlanta United, and I'm always reporting this to our associates, that, we can never take it for granted. But, it's incredible to get over 90%, given the circumstances of COVID. I think, it just speaks volumes for our supporters. So we were very excited about that. And again, I mentioned it earlier. I think, again, we sort of get inoculated to it. But for us to be up there in the top 10 in the world, we're up there with the clubs like, my old club Spurs, the Arsenals. We're ahead of teams that are, obviously much richer history, much longer heritage than us. So I think that's great for us. I think it's great for Major League Soccer and the league. And we're excited to, keep those numbers continuing.
We'll go back to Doug. Doug, go ahead. Your line is open.
If Zach can find the training ground, I'll be surprised for that game, but that's neither here nor there. 2 questions. Where is Barco, or why is he not with the team right now if there's not a move being pursued? I mention it because Eric Lopez is it with the team, and apparently he's already been introduced by Banfield. And have you received any bona fide inquiries for George Bello or Miles Robinson from any clubs?
Yeah, so on, both Ezekiel and Eric Lopez were given a later date to arrive. So, that's their situation. You mentioned Eric. I mean, you probably got an idea of who he might be going to. We're still getting paperwork done on that one. But, if that does happen, then there'll be another 22 slot freed up. In terms of George Bello, I mean, George, we've had, as you've seen, there's been a swirl of interest. He's an exciting young player. He's been fantastic for us. He was the most homegrown minutes of an under-23 player in the league last year. I think he's been superb when he's had his opportunity playing for the United States. He's come from our academy. He's someone that we're really proud of. And, I think with George, like with all our players, if there's an offer that's worked for the club, and more importantly, in this case, I think for someone who's come from our academy that's right for George, we'll be there to facilitate it for him. I know he wants to play in Europe, and if the right offer comes and we can get something done, then obviously he goes with our blessing. As far as Miles is concerned, that's a different kettle of fish. Miles is someone that has been a sort of solid performer for us. He's played magnificently for the United. It's a big year for him with a World Cup year coming in. He's got 2 more years on his contract with us. And so, we haven't had any offers on him, but nor would we, even consider any offers for him.
Go back to Felipe. Felipe, go ahead. Your line is open.
Thank you, Chris. Darren, you mentioned the U22 slot. Is that a signing or a slot that you'd like to fill in, this window? Is that a summer signing? What's the plan there? What sort of profile player does Atlanta United feel is working with this team as it continues to evolve under Gonzalo Pineda? And just any comments on Joseph? He's back with the national team. He's professed his love for the club, looking for an extension. Any insight on that?
Yeah, firstly, I mean, with Joseph, great chat that you had with Joseph. And look, I mean, you saw it in his conversation with you, Felipe. He's someone that loves Atlanta, loves the club. We love him. I think, as you know, he's been fantastic for us, and it's the reason that we did the long-term deal with him, back in 2019. And he's still got 3 more years. He's only halfway through that deal. We have an option in 2024. And the great thing is, we know he loves Atlanta and we love him. So, we're really excited. If you think about, he had the bad injury. It obviously coincided with us in 2020 not making the playoffs, and there's no mystery behind that. Without Joseph as our sort of stalwart striker, it's very difficult for us in that season. I think last year he came back to see the glimpses of the Joseph we know. He got 12 goals in 24 games, which is a really good rate. And we know he's only going to get better. And, he's come back excited, energized. He's going off to with Venezuela to play in the national team. So, again, I think one of the reasons that I feel very excited and confident about the season ahead, confident in the sense that, this is a tough league now. We can talk a little bit more about that later. I mean, this is a tough league and there's some great teams in it. We know it's going to be tough, but I feel really good about, a Joseph coming back and stepping his game up even more level this coming season is going to really help us. So can't say more than enough good things about Joseph. And Felipe, I've talked so much, I forgot what your other question was. Just remind me.
Hold on one second, Felipe. Just got to get you back in.
Oh, the under 22. Sorry. Yeah, under 22 slot.
Correct.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's an interesting one. We, as you know, we don't have to be roster compliant until, just before the season kicks off, 26th of February. And so there's still a lot of time for us to take a look at the roster and how we put it together. And, every season it seems to get more and more complicated in terms of the various mechanisms that you have. But I think, for us, we're always looking to improve the squad. I think, we feel really good about the core squad we've got. And so that might mean that we don't have to rush to do a deal necessarily this window. But obviously, if we have slots available to us and there's a discretionary spend, then you can usually expect Atlanta United to fill it fairly quickly.
Next question, Joe Patrick, 92.9 The Game. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Darren. You mentioned having the in-person kit launch event. I want to kind of expand on that a little bit with you. Obviously the impact that COVID has had on clubs around the world in all different sporting arenas, but also fans, just their behavior and honestly, psychology has also been changed by all this. So I'm kind of curious for you to just speak more broadly about the club's plans for having those kinds of kind of tactile experiences for fans, whether they're in the stadium or at something like a kit launch or some other kind of a pub thing or anything like that? Kind of how's the club approaching that kind of relationship with fans?
Yeah, Joe, look, I think it's a great question. I think we all saw it, on every level in sports when COVID hit. And I think I'd say with Atlanta United being a new club, it almost was, it crystallized it even more because, we built the club through our grassroots connection, through the, pub viewing parties of watching Premier League games, as we built the club up and being out in the community, and also being the club with the, by far the biggest fan base and biggest attendance in Major League Soccer. That year in 2020, with no fans at all, I think really hit home for us. And so when I look back to last year, it was one of the reasons that we were adamant that we'd try and do something, and we had to be innovative, and we ended up doing it as a drive-in movie style theatre with the launch of the black kit. But that was really important to me as a statement that, this is what this club's about. We always want to try and meet our supporters where they are. And so that was, I was really pleased we did it. And it was, it was incredibly positive, the response we got. And even for those that, couldn't get out or didn't feel safe at the time, they were able to watch it on the live stream. So, as we think about Atlanta United and how we built the club, it's fundamental to us, that connection with our supporters. They're the heartbeat of the club. So again, Gonzalo, the idea of, when we brought the supporters in for a training session at the end of last season, that was something that really resonated with our supporters. And that's something that we're looking to try and build upon. And that's why, playing the game at University of Georgia, it's just another place that we haven't been to play a game. It's a chance for us to connect with the fans. We'll be rolling out some things where we'll meet with the supporters. We'll do some sort of meet and greets in breweries, but it's again a chance for us to get out there and meet with the fans. And so, we will do a kit launch. I know there'll be some clubs doing a digital kit launch even this season. We'll do an in-person kit launch around that. We'll be thinking about ways that we can help to connect with our supporters, to just build the atmosphere, which is fantastic. Like I said, there's some great clubs in this league that create a really good atmosphere. But I go back to the MLSPA Player Union poll. Atlanta United is the best stadium environment, and that's coming from the players anonymously. And our players can't vote for that. So I think that speaks volumes to what it is. But look, I think we're realizing that Atlanta United. I think sports generally has realized how important that connection is. And again, we can't take it for granted. And I say that for Atlanta United, but I say that broadly for the sport of soccer. The reality is that atmosphere that you have in stadium is what makes it, the game fantastic. Yes, we still had the games when we were playing with no fans, but it wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same. It didn't have the same energy. It didn't have the same momentum. Didn't feel the same for the players, for the coaches. So it is something that we can never take for granted.
Next question, Emil Moffatt from WABE. Emil, go ahead.
Hey, Darren, thanks so much for doing this. Kind of in line with the COVID question, a lot of businesses around Atlanta and around Georgia are having trouble finding employees. What's kind of the thought process of making sure the stadium is fully staffed when the season begins? And then also, do you have any updates on the World Cup bid for Atlanta?
Well, firstly, on the World Cup bid, I think, we're in that stage now where all of the cities from North America have put forward their bids. They've had the stadium visits. We're waiting now to hear the update from FIFA. I think, we're expecting it sometime in the end of the first quarter in terms of a decision on the city. So, we'll wait with bated breath on that. I think, we feel like we put our best foot forward. I think, Atlanta with the stadium that we have is magnificent. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium is one of the best stadiums in the world. We've obviously demonstrated a passion for soccer in the city of Atlanta and the surrounding state. The World Cup team, when they came to visit, could see that, could, understand it. They've seen the training ground facilities, and also Atlanta itself is just, for me, it's one of the hidden jewels of North America. It's an amazing city. It's diverse. It's young. It's growing. It's, it's hosted big events, whether it's Super Bowls, college football national championships. We had the Olympics. So, we've got so much going for us. And then you throw on top of that, the airport, so #1 airport in the world, the ability to hop on a MARTA and then be where, you can be downtown on a campus environment where you can stay in the hotels. So there's so many things that speaks for Atlanta, that we're obviously not taking it for granted until we actually get the decision. But I think we're very hopeful that we put our best foot forward and think that, Atlanta deserves to be one of the host cities. In terms of the stadium, I think, we speak about the stadium it being so magnificent. I think part of that factor is that, it's not just the brick and mortar, but it's the people we have there. So, we're very different. Although we have our game day associates that aren't working full time for us, they're all trained into, what we expect from all of our businesses. So the welcome home mantra that we give them, which is trying to make our supporters, whether it's Falcons, United, coming to a concert, when they come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that they're coming into your home. We do that training with our part-time associates to give them that the importance of our culture. So I feel like we've got a great reciprocity between our game day associates. They love working for us. They love doing the various different events. So you're right in terms of the country as a whole finding it more difficult, but I feel we're in a good place because, we have invested in our game day associates. We continue to do that. And, it does create part of that wonderful atmosphere. And it's one of the reasons why, both the Falcons and United are rated #1 in their various leagues in terms of the stadium support that you get from the staff.
Next question, Sandy McAfee, AtlantaUnited.com. Sandy, go ahead.
Hey, Darren, it's good to see you. And thanks for taking the time. I wanted to ask you about the academy. With these homegrown signings, the latest was obviously yesterday with Caleb Wiley. The academy seems to really be strengthening and producing a lot of competitive talent. What's your perspective on the academy, and how important are these homegrown players like Wiley to the long-term success of the club?
Yes, Andy, look, really important. I think as a lot of you guys will know, when we started up Atlanta United, we actually started the academy before the first team. And I think, great credit to Arthur Blank, our owner, whose son at the time, Josh, was a top player in the region, and he understood the youth soccer market. And I remember, the conversations we had about the quicker we can start our academy, the quicker we have the pipeline, because, it's going to take us time to help develop the players in the style that we want for Atlanta United. We were, of course, really fortunate that Georgia is a soccer hotbed, and there's a lot of top coaches that were already here in the youth setup, a lot of great clubs as well that have been very collaborative, and we've worked together to try and get the best talent to be able to come and end up playing for the first team at Atlanta United. So I think we started that in 2016 with an understanding that it was going to take time. But again, if you look back at last season, we obviously had 5 homegrown players. We spoke about George Bella. We're incredibly proud of George being our first player that played for the United States men's national team who'd come through our academy. So shout out to Tony Annan, to the great work he did. And obviously now with Matt Lowry stepping in, he's been doing a fantastic job. But I think, what you're seeing now is as each season goes by, we've got more and more time where we've been able to work with players from a younger age group, and we're getting more and more talent coming through. And Caleb Wiley, it was such a fantastic moment yesterday. We had Caleb and his family at the training ground. We did the official signing, and for me, great story with Caleb. So Caleb was one of our first ever academy players when we started in 2016. I can remember in 2019 when we opened our station soccer pitch at East Point. So we are building these with soccer in the streets, these 5-a-side pitches that are in stations on the Martyr. And we opened the one at East Point, and it was a fantastic story because there was a lawyer's office on one side, there was a pizza restaurant on the other side, and there was some land in the middle that was jointly owned by them. And the pizza restaurant owner and the lawyer who owned the offices basically donated it to Soccer in the Streets to be able to build the pitch. So I was at the announcement. We had the mayor of East Point there. It was a wonderful occasion. And as we're there, I'm chatting to Chris Wiley, who's the father of Caleb, and he owns Oz's Pizza. So he is the father of Caleb. Caleb at the time, 14 years old, coming through our academy. His dad, a great member of the community who's helping, to donate the land to create this station soccer pitch that we're building. And then of course, it goes full circle yesterday to be chatting again with Chris and with his, son who he's got to be so proud of, Caleb, who's signing to be, a homegrown player for Atlanta United. So I think, as each year is going on, there's more and more in the pipeline that's coming through. And it's fantastically important for the club for a number of reasons. firstly, our fans love the homegrown players. They're from the area, so they really resonate with our supporters. I think they can identify with those players that have come from the state of Georgia, from the Atlanta metro area. So that's, I think, important. Secondly, from building a roster, we have the cap implications when a homegrown player comes through that doesn't hit the cap, so it helps strengthen your roster. I think the third thing for us is, and I'll use Caleb as an example of that, he's someone that's been from under 12 right through to now signing professionally. So we've had a long time to get to know his character, to get an understanding of what's expected to be a player for Atlanta United. So, with Caleb, he understands when we're building the club about the importance of the community. He understands the importance of the supporters. So we have someone who's already got the culture and the fabric of Atlanta United and what we expect, both tactically and what we expect from our players off the pitch. So, all of that combines to make them really valuable in terms of building a club. So we couldn't be more excited with the direction of travel of the academy. And I think, the exciting thing is hopefully it's only going to get better and better.
Just got time for a few more. We'll go to Mike Conti. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Darren, hope you're doing well. You mentioned the friendly in Athens. Have you finalized a remaining preseason schedule of friendlies? And I ask in part because I'm looking at number 3 on your to-do list over there.
I can always trust on you, Mike, to be looking in the background. Yeah, look, I think, from our perspective, hopefully by the end of the week, we should have our preseason schedule sorted out. So we'll be announcing it then. But I think our plan is, like I said, we want to be playing out. So hopefully a couple of games where we can be out in the region, in the South, playing some matches. I think we are looking to do, like we normally do, go out of the Atlanta area for a couple of weeks to sort of train and play some games. So, there'll be more to come on that, but we're excited about, this preseason and what we can put together. And like I said, really excited about going to University of Georgia and helping to sort of hope some of the success they had last season is going to rub off on us this year.
Doug, go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Sorry to keep asking you about this, Darren, but what is the deadline then for Barco to arrive? Do you expect Jurgen Damm is going to be on the roster by the first game against Sporting Kansas City? Or is the club attempting to loan him or buy out his contract? And do you expect any other players are incoming?
Look, Doug, I think all I can say is there's going to be some comings and going, as there always is before roster compliance date. And, I'm not going to speculate on what areas that might happen in. As far as Jurgen's concerned, Jurgen came as a free transfer to us in 20. Obviously, we've had a few coaching changes since then. He's a player that, he's a consummate professional. He wants to play games. So, that's something where, we'll have a chat and try and find the best opportunity, whether that's here with Atlanta United or elsewhere as the coming weeks go on. But, apart from that, it's going to be, there'll be some twos and fros, and, I'm sure you'll be the first to know when they happen. But come Sporting Kansas City, we feel like we've got the core of the squad together. But again, I'm not going to rule out any sort of changes before then.
We'll go rapid fire here quick. We just got a few more. Felipe, Joe, last two.
Thanks again, Chris. Darren, I just wanted to ask you about any plans. I know you've had them, since the beginning here, but any plans for international expansion for the brand, the club, and perhaps has COVID set some of those plans back? But what's the outlook for international expansion here in 2022 and in the short term?
Yeah, it's a great question, Felipe. I think, look, you're right. Obviously, COVID hit a lot of businesses in terms of, sort of plans for growth. And that's something now I think that as we're coming to the end of it, we hopefully can look into. Really excited. I think the big picture for, Major League Soccer, and I'll look more broadly because obviously there's Atlanta United, the club, and then also wearing my hat as part of the, part of Major League Soccer. Very excited and bullish for the future. We've obviously got the new media rights deal coming up for 23. Very excited about the new competition that we get to play starting in 23 with the Liga MX clubs. A Leagues Cup that's going to include all the clubs from both divisions, I think is going to be a fantastic opportunity. And I think, from Atlanta United perspective, that's somewhere in an area that I think we'll want to grow the brand. It makes sense when you've got a coach like Gonzalo Pineda, already with our attendances, we feel like we're one of the biggest clubs in the hemisphere. So I think, Mexico is a natural area that we'll be looking to sort of have a little bit more connection with, and it's going to happen naturally as well. I think within the rivalries playing in the League's Cup. But we're excited about that. But for me, this is a real opportunity for soccer in the United States and Major League Soccer in particular, because we have the 2026 World Cup, which I spoke about a little earlier with Atlanta, potentially being a host. But it's still crazy to think back to 1994. It's still the most ticketed World Cup ever, and there was no Major League Soccer, no professional league around at that time. So when I think back to how it was, and I was playing for the New York Centaurs in front of tens of people at Randall Island, it is incredible to think how huge that's going to be in 26 when United States, Canada, and Mexico gets to host it. So I feel like we're on a real opportunity of growth here, and that's hugely important for Major League Soccer, and within that for Atlanta United as one of the leading clubs to be pushing the envelope, and that's hopefully what we'll do. And of course, we've got the exciting. I haven't mentioned it, but we're really excited about Charlotte coming in. We've got a natural rival down the road. It's been exciting to see how they've been building the club. Very excited about the opening game they're going to have. If they can get the big number that they're talking about, this is what we need in the league to drive things forward. I think of when I went to Orlando when they hosted their first game at the Citrus Bowl against NYCFC, and they had 62,000. And I think that was an eye opener for the league, and that almost paved the way for us coming in. So excited to see Charlotte coming in with the success they're going to have. I know they talked about hosting a home playoff game, and they're great guys that have set that up. They wouldn't be saying that if they didn't believe it to their supporters. So for them to be coming in, setting the bar at finishing top 4 in the conference, makes me a bit nervous about who they're going to be signing in the coming weeks. But it's good because that raises the bar for everyone. So we're excited about that. We're the Kings of the South. I think they call themselves the Queen City. So I've been racking my brains on what we'll end up calling it. I don't like I-85 Derby, so perhaps it'll be the Royal Rumble or something like that. But we're going to enjoy having that rivalry with Charlotte, and I think it's good for the league that we've got clubs coming in that are pushing the envelope, and I think it just sort of speaks to the excitement that there is for MLS and soccer in North America.
I missed Zach's hand. Zach, we'll go to you, and then we'll end on Joe. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, Darren, I'm just not sure what kind of analytics you use to evaluate goalkeeping. Just with Brad turning 38, his level continues to be high. Obviously, what he does off the field as well, the leader for this team. Is it just for him just to stay healthy, and that's what continues to lead him on and off the field?
Yeah, look, I think Brad's someone who had a great season last season, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, what he brings to us in terms of his experience, his leadership, is immeasurable in terms of analytics. You can't purely sort of analyze that. He's a great character to have. I know he's motivated, as he always is, to give 100%. I know he spoke yesterday, and he'd love to make the squad for the World Cup should America qualify for that at the end of this year when it's in Qatar. So he's a great leader, a great guy. We're excited that we've got Bobby Shuttleworth, a very experienced goalkeeper in the league as well, who can fight for that spot with Brad. And so, we feel good about that. We've got Justin Garces, a young homegrown goalkeeper. We've got Dylan, who we brought back, who played for our USL team. So we feel that, we've got some young talent coming through as well. But, for us, for Brad, we hope he stays healthy, and hopefully he has an even better season than last year.
Last one, Joe, go ahead, finish off.
Yeah, Darren, I'm going to wrap this up with a transfer question, but it's not geared toward a specific player. I'm curious to get your perspective or opinion as someone who's kind of intimately involved with the market in itself, how you see the health of the transfer market overall right now. Of course, again, every conversation we have about this is like COVID had its impact on things. And so I'm just curious for you to compare kind of where the health of the transfer market is now compared to maybe where it was 18 months ago, and also where it was kind of before COVID.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's certainly depressed. I mean, I think that was natural from, we spoke about it from, a lot of clubs the whole world over. And obviously I get a bit of perspective, not only with Atlanta United, but with, the contacts of my former colleagues in England, and obviously with Aberdeen in the Scottish Premier League. I mean, it hit hard for clubs the whole world over. And naturally there was a reticence to spend as much. So I think we've seen that the market has gone down, and I think, it will bounce back. It always does. It's pretty, I think we're seeing the shoots of that now, but I think we're still probably at least one more window, 2 windows away from it getting back to the sort of levels that we were getting towards before COVID hit. So, certainly it's depressed, but I suppose, the analogy I'd use is a little bit like the housing market. There will be, a depression. So it probably means you don't get as much as you'd hope for on the exit, but you're probably getting the players coming in at an equally lower value. So relative, it probably stays the same.